everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am Annie and don't know what I want to say really. Just hi, I'm Annie, welcome to my channel. Here we talk about fitness, what else do I talk about? Lifestyle, etc. But today we're going to be going through high protein foods that I find personally help me to reach my protein intake every day. Now, I know on my platforms I speak quite a lot about a high protein diet, how it really helps me to achieve my goals. I've got a bit of a goal of losing fat at the moment. It's completely fine to have an aesthetic goal if you do have one. I personally haven't ever really set them until this year. I'll put a link to my body transformation YouTube video, but I am not really one that usually sets aesthetic goals. But if we're just being honest, people do set aesthetic goals sometimes, and a high protein diet really helps me to reach them. Also amazing if your goal is strength, build muscle, etc, etc. So here are a few things. Some of them are going to be really obvious to you, but you know, I thought I'd include them anyway. And then some of them are maybe a little bit less obvious, but they all in some way, shape or form help me to reach my protein intake every day. I'm not someone who eats a lot of meat, so I feel like over the last few years, especially since I started cutting down on my meat intake, I do eat fish, by the way, just not for every single meal. When I started reducing my meat consumption a few years ago, I guess I felt like I had to find ways to get my protein intake up without having a standard like chicken, beef, which gives you a bit of a protein hit, I guess you could say, in an easier way. So here's a collection of stuff over the years that I have kind of built up. So let's start with the obvious. So we're gonna start with protein powder. If you watch my videos, you'll know that this one is my favorite one at the moment. It is the Food Spring Vanilla Protein. Now, I actually don't work with them anymore, but it still stands as my favorite proteins. I personally have protein in a shake or a smoothie, but I know a lot of people also stir it into oats. You can bake with it. I find that this one is pretty like non-artificial tasting as far as protein powders go. I think for each of these things, I might actually put up the figure for how much protein there is per portion on the screen. But obviously protein powder is a very easy and convenient way. It doesn't necessarily require cooking to reach your protein intake every single day. You can also get a vegan alternative to this. This is the whey protein though. Next up, another really obvious one, we have got protein bars. I actually didn't like protein bars that much until, I don't know, maybe a year ago, and these are two of my favorites. So we have got the Fulfill chocolate peanut and caramel one, and then we have got the grenade one. These two both taste really good. Very convenient on the go snacks. I know a lot of people actually stray away from protein bars because they're not necessarily low in calorie, but that personally doesn't bother me. I tend to not eat ginormous meals and I eat a lot more snacks throughout the day. I actually find that if I don't eat regularly, I get a bit dizzy. So that's just the way that I like to do it. So I find protein bars a really easy, convenient way to get protein on the go. Next up, we have got yogurt. Now, Greek yogurt in lockdown was my absolute savior. I probably had about half a tub of this a day, and I didn't realize that Greek yogurt was so high in protein. So what I tend to do is sweeten it with this Skinny Foods maple syrup. There are a few of these that I really like, the butterscotch flavor as well, which is actually a 0-calorie syrup, but you can sweeten it with maple syrup, honey, whatever. But if you actually like the bitter taste of it by itself, then that's great. You can also add this into smoothies, which is amazing, but I tend to have this just with berries or with some granola, chia seeds, that kind of thing, and it's just such an easy way to get protein. I also like that it can almost like stand in as a bit of a dessert as well. Next up, we have got another more like on-the-go snack, but also feels like a little bit of a treat. So this is actually the Nestle Lindel's, I don't know how you say that, Cog, I don't know, protein yogurt. Now they do have vegan versions of this, not necessarily this brand, but I know Alpro have a really good brand that has like a little fruit pot in. These are actually flavored ones. They taste really good, and this pot has 17 grams of protein in, which I think is pretty amazing for a snack. If you're looking for snacks to take to work or to school, to uni, these are obviously really great and just taste very good as well. So next is the red lentil penne. Now I absolutely love this, and I think for you vegans out there, if there are any watching this is just such a good one because it acts as a protein source kind of by itself in your meal. Whereas I feel like pasta quite often is like an accompaniment. Whereas I feel like pasta is usually seen as your like carby based and you have something with it like bolognese or chicken or tofu. This is actually really high protein in itself. It tastes great. It's really good with like tomato sauce or pesto or anything like that. I personally find that pasta is such a comfort meal for me, and this is just a really, really good alternative. The next one is quite similar, but more for you guys who just want pasta that really, really is like regular pasta, because I honestly can't taste the difference between this and your normal pasta. Now, the amount of protein in this is not necessarily the highest. However, it is about double normal pasta, which I think is great. And got to remember, at the end of the day, everything adds up. So I think this is just a really good little cheat way to get a few extra grams in. This is literally just from Tesco in England. In fact, just to add, almost all of this is from Tesco in England, but I do watch some American YouTubers, and I know like Trader Joe's and places like that are meant to be really good for this kind of stuff, I guess. But in England, the big supermarkets like Tesco, Sainsbury's, they're the big ones that I tend to shop at anyway. They do tend to have like lots of really good vegetarian, vegan, proteiny kind of things. But yeah, this is literally just high protein infused fusilli, I don't know how you say it properly. But they do like penne and all sorts of things like that. As I said, it tastes exactly the same as normal pasta, but it's just a good little extra, you know, an extra bit of protein. So egg whites, these were another staple of mine during lockdown. I find these are just such an easy thing to add into scrambled eggs. So instead of having 2 eggs, I would tend to have 1 egg and then make the rest up with scrambled egg whites. They taste fine. It doesn't really make much difference. Really easy way to get a high protein breakfast in without really thinking about it. The brand that I tend to get in England are the 2 Chicks egg whites. I think this brand's been around for quite a while now. Most local supermarkets seem to sell these as well. I do see some people putting these into oats as well, which sounds a little bit weird, but actually is not as weird as it sounds. It kind of makes them really fluffy. As I said, it's just a really easy way to get a little bit of extra protein. I didn't know whether to include these or not, and this is just really an example, but it's one of my favorite ones. We have got the Linda McCartney's sausages. Obviously, there are tons of vegetarian and vegan sausages around, but these can actually often have a lot more protein than you think. And I know maybe they should be an obvious one because they would replace, you know, a high protein meat sausage, but this has, per 2 sausages, 13.9 grams protein and only 103 calories. So you could have 4 sausages and get a good, like, almost 30 grams of protein, which I think is actually really fab for a vegetarian sausage. These also taste absolutely amazing and would be really good in a sausage pasta bake or just like a sausage pasta dish with any of those high protein pastas. So the last item that I've got to show you, which is something that Elliot actually eats quite often, is the Eat Lean grated cheese. Now, I didn't realize that this is actually quite high in protein, and I had started eating it during lockdown while I was cutting a little bit, purely because if you want to have a little bit of cheese on something, on your fajitas or on your pasta or whatever, this is just a little bit of a better alternative. I hadn't realized how high in protein it is as well, which is amazing. So if you are someone who really likes to have a bit of cheese sprinkled over something, this is a really tasty brand. Obviously, it doesn't taste exactly the same as normal cheese, but it's also really, really high in protein. So really annoyingly, there are 3 things which I completely forgot to get. Well, 2 of them I couldn't find very obviously while I was in Tesco before. So first up, we have got black bean spaghetti. Now, this is really great, I think, in Asian-y style dishes. Like, it's really great in a stir fry, or you can have it as like a pasta substitute as well. And then the other one that goes kind of hand in hand with this is the edamame spaghetti, or the one that I actually tend to have is almost like kind of like fettuccine sort of thing. So like a noodly pasta. No, not is it fettuccine? The one that I get usually is more of a tagliatelle style shape, and it's really good with a tomato pasta kind of thing. Both just really, really high in protein, and kind of similarly to the pasta, I find that like noodle pasta things just really good comfort foods, and just to know that you're getting that extra protein hit from those is fab. So the last one today, which I just completely forgot to pick up, but I actually love, and I know this is a bit of a weird one, some people are going to be like, ooh, that's so gross, but don't knock it till you tried it, is cottage cheese. Now, cottage cheese is really, really high in protein. You can actually get pots that have pineapple in as well, which I actually think are quite nice to just like eat with a spoon. But cottage cheese I love at the moment with some tuna in a sweet potato. It sounds really weird, but such a good dish with a little bit of pesto on top. Honestly, amazing. And just a nice creamy filling that honestly tastes really, really good. I can imagine it could also be quite a good thing to have on little crackers or Ribena, and I personally think it tastes really good. So I hope this has been a helpful video for you guys. Honestly, I just think some of those things are just such fab little cheats, and like I said, everything adds up. So even if you're only getting sort of 10 grams here and there, is better than nothing and should really, really help you on your way to achieving your goals. So I would love to know your suggestions as well, so please leave a comment down below, because it's always great for me to learn from you guys as well. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you are enjoying my videos, and go back and watch the first 2 videos in this little series, because hopefully, you know, they'll kind of all slot together to form just a really good little series of things that are also going to help you guys, and you can just like follow me along my journey as well. I'll see you in my next video, guys. Bye.